Welcome to Follow the Star, the show where we discover India through its highways. And today, I am going to be journeying through the middle of the most beautiful tea country on my way to the famous little town nestled in the hills, Darjeeling. My journey to Darjeeling starts off from the foothills of North Bengal, called the Doab, which is just outside the town of Siliguri. I'll be making a stop at the famous tea plantation of Makai Bari and driving up to Ghum. I will then take a slight detour to the town of Bijon Bari before completing my journey at Darjeeling. The total distance of this trip is going to be around 120 to 150 kilometers. In Makai Bari, I am going to be meeting the Raja of Teas. And then, in Bijon Bari, I will be meeting, well, I'll let that be a surprise. Or not. Let's just say he loves the game of football and in his new avatar, he's a politician. Keep guessing. I set off early in the morning to go to my first stop, the tea plantation of Makai Bari. The road winds through beautiful sal tree forests until it comes to the military station of Sukna. From then on, the NH55 enters the hills and passes through tea gardens and little villages. This single-lane highway, though narrow, is a joy to drive on, especially with the beautiful views all around. So to go to Makai Bari, I have a choice of 3 routes, but I am taking the shortest route. This route is called the Pankha Bari Road and it's the shortest because it's also the steepest. In fact, it's a quick route because it's exclusive and only private vehicles are allowed on this road. Another reason why I'm taking this route is because my first pit stop, the Makai Bari Tea Garden, lies directly on this road. If I went up the Rohini Road or the Hillcart Road, it would first take us to Kurseong and from there we would have to come down to Makai Bari. The condition of the NH55 or the Pankha Bari Road, as it's called here, is only good in patches. In fact, in some portions, it is downright bad. So my first stop is the very famous tea plantation of Makai Bari, which is just short of the town of Kurseong. Now Makai Bari is famous for 2 things. 1, it is the oldest tea factory in the world, and 2, it produces the world's most expensive tea, the Imperial Silver Tips. And at Makai Bari, I will be meeting the Raja of tea himself. The Raja of tea happens to be Raja Banerjee, a 4th generation tea planter. Educated in England, he is famous for not only introducing organic tea growing in Darjeeling, but also for producing the most expensive tea in the world, the Imperial Silver Tip. So this is the first time I've been to any sort of tea plantation and the view for me is a dream. I'm so happy to be here.
Enjoy the magic, the mystique of Darjeeling.
Makai Bari, what is so special about it?
Well, there are many firsts and specials about Makai Bari. This is the first tea factory ever to be built in the world.
Okay.
There are over 70 countries in the world growing tea, but all the teas made in those countries were handmade. James Watt went toot-toot in 1854 and my great-grandfather built that factory. So I'm a functioning heritage. That's what's one special. We've also pioneered organics to global tea and biodynamics tropical agriculture. And Makai Bari, for every acre of tea, there are 2 acres of primary rainforest. So the tea is an island within the forest. That is a spectacular thing about Makai.
So you are the 4th generation.
Indeed.
Who is going to be the 5th?
The 5th generation will be the ladies over there, you see. They bend their back the hardest and they relegate to second-class citizenship. We are empowering them to take over.
So your 5th generation is going to belong to the women.
To the women who will torch for the rest of the country and show them what is to be a grassroots entrepreneur.
Is it possible for me to taste some of your tea from here?
Actually, I'll amend that word. It is not tea. It's a magical, mystical Himalayan brew, and I shall prove it to you. Let's go. Entering my inner sanctum for the magical, mystical Himalayan herb. Okay?
Wow, I haven't seen so many types of tea before.
I think it would be advisable for you to put on my tea tasting apron. Let me put it on. There you go. Just tie it around, otherwise just slip out.
Thank you.
In a moment, you'll know why this is necessary. So, the spring tea is a light tea, and it's a tad greenish because it's very dry, and the first stage of the manufacture is withering. You're removing excess moisture inherent in the leaf. It's called the muscatel. Very difficult to make. Can you see the difference? It's greenish, and this is coppery red. Can you see it? First class?
This smells more tea-ish than that.
This is spring tea, very delicate, preferred by all the connoisseurs globally. This is very difficult to make. It's more grape-like, like the muscadet, so it's called muscatel.
Okay. Isn't this the world's most expensive tea?
Yes, the silver tips impaired. It's taken us about 18 years to reach a certain degree of perfection.
So if I have to take this and run away then?
You're most welcome. Now, the tea taster is not a socially acceptable animal. And if you really want my certificate, you must do exactly what I do. Okay, watch. Go on. Don't be afraid, but I'm watching you. And I want you to do all those horrible sounds of slurping. And there's a reason for it. Go on then. Fantastic. Go on. Spit. Too genteel. You failed in the first one. Next, watch. And don't be shy. You did the first part very well. When you slurp, you're oxygenating. You're putting in oxygen. Implosion of flavor on your palate. Go on then. Fantastic. Spit. That's it. You got it now. Rinse. Rinse.
Slurping and spitting the tea might not look or sound very elegant, but like tasting wine, it is the only authentic way of bringing out the true flavors of the different teas. Thank you so much for this wonderful experience. I don't think I would want to come back to any tea plantation now, apart from Makai Bari, and to come back and meet you.
Just remember, Makai Bari is as much yours as mine. I'm only a very temporary steward in passing.
Thank you, Raja.
Pleasure. Take care.
Thank you. So now that I fancy myself to be a bit of a tea taster, I could stay on here forever and make a name for myself. But the road beckons me and I must be on my way. The drive up till now on the NH55 to Makai Bari was mostly a joy to drive on and also very beautiful, and I hope it stays that way. We reach Ghoom, the highest point of my journey, before we take the road to Bijonbari, where I get to chat with India's most famous footballer. Post getting some tips on how to play football, I reach Darjeeling, where I finally get to enjoy a cup of tea. Welcome back to my journey in the hills of North Bengal. As of now, it's just been tea, tea and more tea. I started off from Siliguri in the morning and took the NH55 on my way to the Makaibari tea plantation. It was a beautiful journey through the forests, the tea gardens and up the steep Pankhabari road. Makaibari, which should be on the must-visit lists for all travellers on this route, is one of the most famous tea plantations in the world. And there I met the king of teas, Raja Banerjee. My next destination is Bijonbari, which is on a slight detour from the road to Darjeeling. However, we will be following the NH55 till Ghum, where I will turn away from the road to Darjeeling. The road to Ghum is not in the best condition. In patches, it has some really bad potholes, but in other places, the quality of the road is quite good. All along the route, we passed tiny villages and marketplaces, which though charming, also increase the traffic. Another unique aspect of this route are the rail tracks of the toy train, which run alongside and sometimes even through the middle of the road. So I'm getting into Ghum now, and I think it's probably the highest point of my journey. It's only when you come to the hills you realize you can actually experience extreme weather conditions. It was hot and I was sweating when I was in Makaibari, and now it's misty and foggy and I can feel the nip in the air. So this very cute station in the middle of the road is a station for the toy train. The toy train is actually the Darjeeling Hill Railway, and this station is famous for being the second highest station in the world at around 7,400 feet. Sadly, I couldn't catch a glimpse of the toy train. Due to recent landslides, it hadn't been plying on its usual route from New Jalpaiguri in the plains. It does make a trip to and from Kurseong, but I had missed catching it on its journey. From Ghum, I'm taking a slight detour away from the road to Darjeeling to a little riverside town called Bijonbari. The road to Bijonbari is a narrow hill road called the Nor Road. The road most of the way is really bad. In fact, it is one of the worst roads we had ever encountered. So I've finally entered Bijonbari in one piece, where Baichung is on his campaign trail for the upcoming elections. It's going to be really interesting to see him in a whole new field. Three-time Indian Player of the Year, Baichung was described as God's gift to Indian football. A Padma Shri awardee, Baichung is India's youngest ever goal scorer and was also the most capped Indian footballer. Recently, he decided to join politics and is campaigning for the upcoming election. Baichung was playing in an exhibition match in Bijonbari, and because there was a shortage of space, I literally had to drive onto the football field to meet him. I'm watching Baichung play football live in Bijonbari. You really think that was possible? I didn't think that was possible. He doesn't look like much of a politician now, does he? So I finally found Baichung. After that huge, long, crazy drive, it was completely worth it. First things first, you don't look like much of a politician right now. You look like the old Baichung we're all used to. How are you enjoying being a politician?
Little difficult, definitely more than a footballer, but it's something new. I've gone into it now, but I never realized it's so difficult. I used to always sit in a sofa, listen to all the political debates, criticize the politician, but when you're one of them and doing just an election campaign, I think itself is a big challenge.
So you don't think you're ever going to criticize a politician again, are you?
No, I think you need to criticize. I think when it comes to accountability and being honest, and then I think if they are not, then you've got to criticize. I think it's important that politicians should reach out to the people and look at their problems. I'm not saying that being a politician after winning it, I'm going to solve everything, but I think it's important that people should ask for accountability, because you've seen Darjeeling, it's been ignored completely, and you complain about your long journey and difficult roads. So these, I think, basic things in the hills are missing in terms of water, in terms of roads, in terms of schools, in terms of dispensary, healthcare. I think these are things which we need to really look after it.
So I'm in Darjeeling after a very long time. I came here when I was really young.
Okay.
So what do you suggest I definitely should do before I go back?
I think the most important thing, and every tourist does it is breakfast in Caventer's, and also don't miss to walk in the evening around Chaurasta.
Those are the two things I should do?
It's very beautiful.
Those kids are playing football there, and I've seen you play football all my life. You think I can manage playing football?
Why don't you give it a shot? Come on.
With
You
you,
can try
really?
it. Yeah. I think it's going to be great.
Baichung even decided to give me some tips on how to play football. I really don't know how good I was, but hey, at least I can boast about the fact that I played football with Baichung Bhutia. By the time I finally reached Darjeeling, it was late at night. But I was up early to walk a little bit around town. Now and then, one does get glimpses of the beautiful colonial hill station Darjeeling used to be. So Baichung asked me to check out Glenaries and Caventer's, but I've chosen to come to Caventer's mainly because of the view here. On a clear day, you can actually get to see the mighty Kanchenjunga. I'm going to check out Caventer's now. Sadly, the Kanchenjunga was not visible, but I did order myself a wonderful alfresco breakfast. I even met up with an American traveler called Max, which was definitely better than eating breakfast on my own. What do you think the people here are like?
The people here are awesome. They're so nice. They have really warm hearts. And I think especially mountain people. It's like a really close-knit life here.
It is. It's a very
Yeah.
close-knit life, and it's small, so you end up
Yeah.
being warm with whoever you meet. Like most eventful and good journeys, mine too had come to an end. It had started following the NH55 through beautiful sal forests and tea gardens, and it continued up the steep and winding Pankhabari route. We crossed towns and busy marketplaces with the tiny toy train tracks accompanying us up till Ghum. Smooth most of the way, with some potholes thrown in to jolt unsuspecting drivers, the NH55 had been a joy to drive on. Though from Ghum to Bijonbari, the tiny Nor road gave me and my car many a scare because the road was in such a bad condition. What also made the trip special was that I was coached by two masters. One coached me in the art of tasting tea, and the other coached me on playing football. I might not have been the best student, but it was certainly great fun. Overall, this is a trip we recommend that you take, because I, for one, am certainly going to be back. If for nothing else, but that drive in the morning. So my first stop on the AH45 is the town of Arcot. Who are you guys actually? Tell me. I am in the middle of the most... I am on my way to a place which gives the world's best tea in... I just tasted magical. Look at me.
Hang on. Hang on.
One, it's the oldest tea factory in the world. Oh my god, sorry. And two, it pretty...